Hello everyone and welcome back to another math video. Today we're going to be looking at how to add and subtract like terms. Commonly in math class you might hear this is combining like terms. Okay, just a reminder that this is the full lesson version, so we're going to go through a bunch of different examples. We're going to go step by step. If you'd like the shorter version where we go through just the main ideas pretty quickly, I will link that in the description below. Before attempting this lesson, you should already know how to add and subtract positive and negative numbers, or else have a calculator that can do it. So if you need a refresher on those, I will link those in the description. All right, so combining like terms, we're going to use something called SLAP, all right? And so each letter stands for something. So SLAP means same letters and powers, SLAP, okay? What I mean by that is when I look at this problem, there are different letters, different exponents, okay? Like terms, the ones that want to combine are the ones that have the same letter and the same power, the same exponent, right? So for example, I see this positive 7d to the second power, okay? D to the second power. Do I have any other d to the second power in the problem? Well, I do, right? It's this minus 2d to the second power here. All right, there's no others. So the way that you combine these is you just do what it says in front of the variable. So these are called the coefficients, right? The big numbers in the front. So I just do positive 7 minus 2. Well, positive 7 minus 2 is 5. And I keep the exponent and letter the same. The only thing that changed there was the big number in front, the coefficient. Okay? And I'm going to cross them off so that my brain knows we've already done those. Now, can we match any others? Let me switch colors here. Well, I see that I have a 4d in the front. So that, remember, there's an invisible that's d to the first power. And I also have this positive d here. This is d to the first power. And also, not only is there an invisible 1 in the corner, but there's also an invisible 1 in the front, right? If you don't see a number in front of the letter, there's an invisible 1. Okay, we're ready to combine. So when I combine these, 4 plus 1 is positive 5d. And let's cross them off because I've used them. All right, last ones are just the regular numbers here. So this is positive 6 and positive 1. And so that would just be positive 7. And this is our final answer. Okay, you could change the order a little bit. I like to go decreasing exponents. So I started with the biggest exponent, and then I go down from left to right. And this is our final answer because nothing else can combine, right? You can't combine these two because they have a different exponent, right? This one has an exponent of 2, this one has an exponent of 1. So these do not combine, and you just leave them separate. All right, here's our cool clock for today, which means that it is time for you to practice what you just learned. Go ahead and pause the video and try these two problems on your own. And when you're ready, you can unpause the video and we'll check your answers. Okay, now that you've had time to work these problems, let's check your solutions. For the first problem here on the left, you should have combined 9b to the second power with 2b to the second power to get 11b to the second power. And then 4b, remember there's an invisible 1 here. So 4 minus 1 is just 3b. This is my final answer. For the second problem, here is the answer. Okay. What might have thrown some of you off is, remember that when you combine this, these normal numbers, this minus 1 and this positive 3. Remember that is negative 1, right? Minus 1, you need to include the sign that's in the front. So if you put 4, that's what messed you up. Okay, for this problem, a couple things to note. Number one, this has nothing to combine with, so just bring it straight into your answer, right? There's no other d to the second power, so we can cross that one off our list. Now, for the d to the first power, this is 1 and 1, right? We're going to combine this, and we're going to combine this. Well, 1 minus 1, positive 1 minus 1, is 0d, okay? And 0 times anything is just 0, so we actually don't even put it in the answer, okay? So these just sort of like, they are inverse, so they actually sort of cancel each other out. And then we can combine our normal numbers. 7, negative 7 plus 8 is positive 1, and this is the final answer. Okay, it's time for you to practice what you just learned. Go ahead and pause the video and try these two problems on your own. And when you're ready, you can unpause the video and we'll check your answers. Okay, now that you've had time to work these problems, let's check your solutions. For this first problem, the w to the second power, w squared, cancels out, right? Because those are opposites, positive 9 and negative 9. And then you combine the three normal numbers. So 5 minus 1 is 4, 4 plus 1 is 5. And 5 by itself, I know that looks a little weird, but 5 by itself is the final answer here. This second problem comes out a little bit funky. So I've showed the work here. All of these can combine, right? They're all just h. And you should go from left to right. And so that's what I did here. I started from the left and worked my way down. And when you do that, your final answer is just 0. Everything actually cancels out and goes to 0. Okay, for this problem, I don't know how you were taught to deal with these right? You see these funky looking positive and negative symbols. There are a couple of ways to deal with that. But personally, I teach students to get rid of the double symbols at the very beginning. So what this means, what this looks like is negative 8 plus a negative is just minus. Same thing here. Plus minus is just minus. And now it's a lot easier to work with, right? So now you can combine, let me change colors here. So now let's look at what we can combine. I combine this and this, this and this, this and this. So negative 3 minus 2 is negative 5. Negative 5 plus 8 is positive 3. So this comes out to 3k to the second power. For the k's, I have positive 9k and negative 6k. So that is positive 3k. And the only thing left here is the minus 8. So it's just minus 8 at the end. This is our final answer. So again, if you see the double symbol, plus minus is just a minus. And if you see a minus, like 3 minus negative 2, that's just 3 plus 2. Okay? All right, it's time for you to practice what you just learned. Go ahead and pause the video and try these two problems on your own. And when you're ready, you can unpause the video and we'll check your answers. Okay, now that you've had time to work these problems, let's check your answers. For this first problem, the first step for me is get rid of those plus minuses and just change them all to a minus sign. Plus negatives, change it all to a minus sign. And then you just combine like terms and you should have ended up with negative 11s squared minus 19s. And for number 2, here's the solution you should have gotten along with the work. All right, the last two types of problem we're going to look at. Number 1, this problem on the right, okay, I cannot combine these, right? Because this is just a regular number. This has a letter with it. I can't combine them, so what am I supposed to do? The answer is you're not supposed to do anything. The answer is just how it started. Don't change anything, because nothing can be combined, so there's nothing to do, okay? Now this one on the right looks a little bit tougher because of all the double letters. However, we still apply the same rules, meaning, okay, so I had to change the problem here, but this is what we have. For double letters, okay, you still follow the same rule, which is, this is 10w to the third x to the third. So do I have a w to the third x to the third somewhere else in this problem? I do, right? It's this one, w to the third x to the third. So those will combine. And this one, 10 minus 10, is actually 0, right? So these just cancel out. And so for the rest of these, are they all like terms? So this is u to the third v to the third. This is u to the third v to the third. This is u to the third v to the third. So all of these combine. And then you just look at the numbers in the front, right? 7 minus 2 is 5. 5 minus 2 is 3. So the final answer here is 5u to the third v to the third. Okay, final answer. All right, it's time for you to practice what you just learned. Go ahead and pause the video and try these two problems on your own. And when you're ready, you can unpause the video and check your answers. Okay, now that you've had time to work these problems, let's check your answers. For this first problem on the left, you should not have done anything. Those cannot combine. This is the final answer. For this problem on the right, you should have said, okay, this, and this can combine. Remember, there's an invisible 1 here. So 3 plus 3 is 6. 6 minus 1 is 5s squared t to the third. And the q to the third, r to the third has nothing to combine with. So we just leave it like this. And this is the final answer. All right, that is it for today. I hope you all have a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.